Okay, you want to learn how to do 3D printing, and I'll give you a quick overview for a very beginner and how to do this kind of thing. There's two things to 3D printing. You need a model and then the 3D printer. And you first of all have to design your model, what you want to print. Okay, the part you want to print, if you want to print a part. For that you need CAD software, CAD, Computer Aided Design. That is a software that is either expensive or you get a free one. So I decided to use this free CAD. You can download this. I'm going to put the link in the description where you get those things. And then once you have that and you have a model designed, you need a 3D printer. And for a beginner, I recommend to not buy a kit, but buy something what is already put together and ready. If you start out small, that's fine. The smaller, the easier. If you build large models, it is more complicated, more complex. And for the printer, what I bought here from Monoprice, that comes with a software in it. And I'm going to show you how the printer looks like, how it prints after this tutorial. And as I said, it's for a very early beginner. I will take this slow, and this will be boring for people who do this for a longer time already. It's just the plain basics. Let me open this CAD program, and it takes a minute here because I'm recording the screen. Okay, so this tool comes with sample files with examples and help and user manual and whatnot in this area here on the right. I'm going to close that since I am your user manual today. If we look at this, it is confusing. This whole software is confusing. All the CAD softwares are confusing for a total beginner. The learning curve is pretty steep. But your first step in 3D print is to learn the software and be able to make your own model. And that means you need to practice a lot. You don't need a 3D printer for this. You just need this free software. You play around with it and create a few models. And then you see already if you are talented enough or if you're skilled enough to do this. It all stands and falls with how good you are with this program, how fast you learn this. Okay. Now, in the upper left corner here, like in most programs, is where you start a new document. And I'm going to do this here. This new document here is called unnamed. I can save this document now and give it a name, right? So this is test part, or we call it a part. We create, design a part. Okay. So save this on my desktop. Now it named it this here. Okay. Now, next step. Up here where it says start, we can change the looks and feel, the layout of this software. It can do a lot of things. If we click in here, we see what it can do, but we want to do a part design here. We want to design a part. With that clicked, this whole thing is going to change. Okay. Now, to start a part, we need to create a body. That's called body here. This button and this icon also exist up here. So if you click in this helper here, in this com view, or on this icon, that's the same thing. Okay, now the next step you need to do is to create a sketch. So a drawing of the thing you want to make. Okay, click on that. Now, you have different planes, XY, XZ, YZ. On your 3D printer, the so-called print bed, where you print on, is the XY plane. And we only have to click, okay, it says XY here already. You could click on here, XY, and then say okay. On this plane, we can make our drawing. Now, I start with a simple rectangle. You have up here a bunch of tools where you can do lines, points, curves, all kinds of things. This here, we click on this once, is a rectangle tool. Now, I click and create one corner, and then I move the mouse over to somewhere else, and I click again, and I have a second corner. So now I have this rectangle. I right click to get out of my tool, and then here I can change this around, change the dimensions, and do whatnot with it. Now, when I'm done with this drawing, I click close. So now I have a drawing, an outline of my object I want to make. My next step would be to give it thickness. Okay. There's this up here. It's called pad. So that would make it thicker, right? Thickening. It's just like a thickening tool here, pad. Just click on it, and I want to know how thick it is. Now, if I move my mouse in here, I can see a three-dimensional view of this. So this would be 10 millimeter thick, right? We're going to make it only 5 millimeter thick. I can now click the OK button, or just hit Enter on the keyboard, and my part is here. So we basically made like a little block. Okay, if we would print this, it would be pretty boring, but that would be the first step to do something at all on a 3D printer. We make this a little more interesting for this tutorial, and we drill some holes in here, or we can, we could do a hole, and we could also create a pocket in there. Let's try that. Okay. Here, this thing shows the test, what you can do in the moment. On the left side here, you see what we created already. A pad with a sketch. This kind of thing. So we want to go here on this surface and create another sketch. And what I talked about before, we want to get a hole in here, right? So take this, like the circle tool. Click here, and let's say you want to make a hole like this wide. Right click, and then we can move this around here with the center. With the center hole, we can move this around wherever we want. Let's do it here. And close it again. So now we have on the surface here the circle. We can now click on the circle, select it, and click on the hole tool here. There's a hole, create a hole within the selected sketch, right? Sketch was the circle we were drawing. I'm going to create a hole in it. Here, this one, right? Create a hole. Huh. Okay, is there a hole in here now or not? Doesn't look like it. Isn't that nuts? That this tool does not do what I wanted, because I don't understand how the hole tool works before I use the pocket tool. You want to delete the hole. Select the sketch again here. Click hole. Through the whole thing. Now we have a hole in here. Interesting, right? We're done. Okay. And pocket I wanted to show you. So I click on this surface again where I want to make a new sketch, a new drawing here, and then I saw here a regular polygon. This one I want. Click in the middle, drag it out, another click, right click, and there's a polygon here, there. Close this again. Now I have the polygon drawing on the surface, and I want to make this a pocket. Okay, so we click on this again, this polygon thing, and then we click here on pocket, and this is 5 millimeters. So our whole block here was 5 millimeters. So we're going to go to 3 millimeters. Then we have down here, the bottom has a 2 millimeters thickness to it. Look at this. So this is our part we have. Okay, now, rarely in nature you have things with those straight edges. If you want this rounded, let's say here this edge, if you want that rounded, you have here a rounding tool there. It makes it round, and you can change the diameter here. I do this on purpose, super round. 10 millimeters, okay. Look at our part here. And then you often have a thing what's called chamfer. A selected shape. This thing all the way around. It only did this, right? Undo is here. Do we have an undo function? I think we can do cancel here, then it would take that task out. We want to select more than one line. So here, the green area now. So I selected the whole area around it, and then I click on chamfer. And this is 1 millimeter, but we want to do less. 0.5 millimeter only. And okay. So we chamfered this piece here. We could do the inside too if we wanted to. Like if you click on this, then it does it down there. And we do 0.5 again. That. We can do it with this edge. Or let's say we do it with this edge, and this edge. Those three chamfered like this. And okay. And now we have ourselves already some part. Don't know what we use this for later, but this is something we created. And we can save again here. So later we can recall it. And now we go into the 3D print. So if we want to print this part, we need to transfer this to the 3D printing software. And by selecting this body here, this piece, we can go into File, Export, select the object you want to export. So it's the test part. This is my object. Did I not select it? I thought I did. File, Export, select first the objects. Is this not my object? Body. I thought this would be my object. File, Export. There we go. Weird. I thought I clicked on this before. Okay, now it selected it. And then I call this test piece or what. And for 3D printing, we do this STL format. There's different formats in here this thing can do. but we go with the STL for 3D printing, and then we say save. Now, it saved this part now to the desktop. We close this. Okay, I don't know what this is. Oh, it was our second. We saved, so we had the new document saved, and then we saved our drawing, so it will do incremental. Every time you save it, so it creates your intermediate steps as files. That's fine. So test piece STL, this is the one we need. And here is the 3D printing software. The 3D printing software, there is different ones out there. This one came with my printer. They're all very similar. I just show here how this works as an example. So let me start this thing here. Now, there is the area the printer prints in. This little box here shows basically how much you can print, how big and how much volume you can fill. The gray area here is the area you use with care, right? That's the really outer edge of your model. We go and say load, and we do this test piece STL. Okay, so there's our piece, and you see how small this is. But that's fine for now. In the 3D printer software, we can look at it. It turns the bottom of it blue. That means that is the contact surface with the printer pad. And when we have this here, we can say print. And there's a lot of settings in there. And we leave it at the standard settings for now. We say OK, and then it wants to save the print file. In this case, it's a GX file, it's a geocode. Those are the instructions for the printer, how to move the print head around the object. We save that. So it put it somewhere here. There it is, down here. And then we can look here in the simulation how this piece would look like. It did 27 layers, and it would print like this. It does inside here a hexagon shape in the hollow areas, and it will do layer by layer by layer, and this whole print will take 6 minutes. And we can see in the simulation already that the surface here doesn't look very great. See that? That's why we could go back, click print again, and change our settings. So because the part is so small, we can go to a higher quality print, say OK again, overwrite this piece. Now it looks a little different. Now it takes more than twice as long to print. It will use 0.36 meters, so 36 centimeters of this laminate, the filament, whatever you call this, filament. That is the material you print with. We can check our weight estimation. So we use PLA. That's the plastic material. It has a certain weight. And so it will estimate this whole thing to be a little over 1 gram to weigh. And it still looks odd up here, right? So if you don't like that, you can change here things. So we can do a thicker top layer. We can change the fill density to 40%. And say OK, override. Oh, it doesn't make it better. Now it takes 7 minutes to print. This is the draft thing again. But it has a better and more smaller. honeycomb squares in there. I don't like how this looks like here, but okay. We're gonna print this thing and see how it looks like. I would think that you would look for smooth areas and not have those weird drawings, but this could be also the computer that doesn't know how to show this and display this, right? That doesn't mean that your 3D printer is printing those little triangles here. This could be the graphic card of my computer. Okay, so we say print, and then we connect to our printer. Connect, and then it sends this file to the printer, and now the printer is starting to print this. It will take 7 minutes, and after 7 minutes we take a look at it. So here is my 3D printer, and it comes in an enclosure and it has light in it. Here is the display where it shows how long it takes to print, or if anything is wrong with it. You have a copy of this also on your computer. This printer is so fancy, it has a little picture of what it is going to print. And there's the print bed. Now I have a door here to open to see inside. It's a little louder in there. I'm going to see how it prints our tiny little part there. So this particular printer is a little special because it has a removable plate here, so you can remove your object. So the smaller it is, the more difficult to get off. But here we have now this thing with a hole in it, and basically how we needed it. So you have to remove all the not needed plastic pieces. You see how hard this is on this, how hard it sticks to it. So this is one of the things in 3D printing, how to keep your build plate, the build surface clean, is one of the challenges on this whole thing. And then you can print a lot of things, like for example, what I printed is, another thing was this here, I printed a battery tray where I can store my batteries, that they don't float around and fly around. You can even print their name in it and stuff. So this is another piece. I printed this a little bigger, and I made this to store my batteries in here like this. See? And so I have this in my drawer. When I open and close my drawer, they don't fly around in the drawer. Like a little tray for my batteries. Yeah, that's how 3D printing looks like. And I hope this tutorial helped you in understanding and how stuff works. And as I said, a steep learning curve for this, but once you figure it out, it's a lot of fun.